Alright, we are recording for chapter 23 of Star Trek The Motion Picture. This should be fairly simple because it's kind of short, and it's just Spock going. So he's exited the ship, thinks he knows where there's an opening, he's sensing it there, he's not actually seeing it, shoots for it, makes it, obviously. Continues down and is seeing memories, I guess is the best way to put it. I was just trying to think if there's any better way. I was like, would hallucination? No, because they're real. I mean, they're not really there, but they were real, so I guess hallucination would not be correct. But in any case, he sees those images, those memories. But yeah, there's still some more to talk about. So a lot of it is kind of like in the movie, although a lot, this is more special effects in it than the movie, probably just because books don't have as many limitations in certain ways. He does speculate, though, that the stuff that flies out to crush the messenger probes act like white corpuscles, white blood cells, so part of our immune system. He also spots what he refers to as sensor bees, which are actually the crystal thing that's on Ilea's neck, or the probe's neck there. And they're flying around, and he believes what's happening is that opening he senses is there, is something that's opening and closing, opening to let some through. So it's like they're just collecting information on the ship and then flying through. So he times to go in with them, and when he does, he enters into this new chamber, and he sees these sensor bees forming into a crystal. So then he's like, oh, it must be storing data in the molecular structure. And that just one of these crystals would hold more than a planet's entire library, and there's a bunch of these. Which it is an interesting concept that is in many things. I'm like, Stargate uses that a lot. I'm trying to remember, have we actually done that? I'm not sure. I mean, flash memory might be more impressive because technically it's actually quantum mechanical. No, so if I remember correctly, it's flash memory. It might be a different kind, but no, I'm pretty sure it's flash memory that's actually using quantum tunneling to store if it's a bit, because it just changes the state for, okay, will the electron tunnel or will it not be over a gap here? So it's like manipulating that, and yeah, flash is one of those weird technologies. There's others, I'm certain, as well, but yeah. So anyway, he's going in, and he is broadcasting back. It is explained in this, because it's always kind of annoyed me in the movie that he uses the thruster pack to get in there really quick, because he has to outrace the white corpuscles. He also has to slow himself because he was about to run into some of the sensor bees. But it is explained in here that, because I always thought there was something like it burned out, and I think it does kind of show that happening. But no, he jettisons it here, not because of it burning out, but just he wants greater maneuverability. He needed the speed to get there, but now he can maneuver. So he's in there, and he's seeing the different things. He's seeing, like, the security guard. He's seeing the Klingon ships. No mention of Epsilon 9, which I know is mentioned in the movie. Excuse me. But I'm not sure if in the movie that might be when the Enterprise goes in, or Kirk. I mean, it's, there is a second trip here. But that's not mentioned. Ilea is not mentioned. And technically that makes sense because she wasn't necessarily stored as a data pattern as the rest of this was, so. But I do recall him, like, Leonard Nimoy saying Ilea when seeing her there, so it's, yeah, that's not in this. And I guess could just be in the movie trying to achieve clarity as to what all is going on there, and that being helpful. But he also sees a planet there, which I do kind of remember that in the movie, at least with his narration about what he's seeing, and that there's a bunch of machines on it working. What's described in here, I don't remember if this is in the movie, is that he's like gaining a sense of what it is as well, that the machines have been tending the planet for eons, that they don't remember what their origins are. They were given the purpose of tending the planet, and so that's what they're doing. So presumably then, it's the, like, V'ger arrived at that planet, and they then repaired it and created the whole thing that they're now existing in, and and then V'ger, gaining consciousness, wants to connect back with the creator, come back to the creator. Which I feel is interesting for one main reason, is that some do try to say that V'ger encountered the Borg, and that the Borg did all this and then sent it back, which I've never really liked that idea, because it's like, the Borg are supposed to be on the other side of the galaxy. Why are we saying that this Voyager probe reached that far? There's also the issue of Voyager probe is completely synthetic. It's just a computer. So the Borg, at least in Voyager, they try to describe it as they consider pure mechanics as the ultimate achievement, which would mean then that they would actually want to be like V'ger. They wouldn't send V'ger on his way. They would keep V'ger. So I've never really liked that idea. To be honest, I think some of that is just people wanting to like have a grand theory for all of Star Trek and have it all link up together, even though a lot of it was not written to be linked up with anything else. So, yeah. There we go. But as he's in there, he actually encounters one of the crystals. It's like near it, and this is what it's saying. Even through the heavy protecting gauntlet, he could feel it in the crystal. Life. Crystal face is warm. Must slip off gauntlet. Yes, life. I feel it better now. All of this is alive. And then reporting back. Captain, this is not a vessel. It is a life form. V'ger. This is all V'ger. Enterprise is not inside a vessel. We are inside a great entity, a great living machine. I got problems with him taking off the gauntlet. There's been nothing to describe that they are in atmosphere, because it's like his hand should be freezing. There would be other effects going as well because of the lack of pressure around it. I don't know enough, and my own instinct, which is very possibly wrong, is that if it were sealed at his wrist and he would be able, like, it wouldn't kill him for his hand to be out, but it is still, the extreme cold would probably cause a lot of damage. And I'm not sure how much the blood would boil necessarily, because his skin is actually decent at what it does, so it should be able to maintain some interior pressure, but it would still swell up some due to the lack of external pressure. So yeah, it's like his hand would not be that useful and would definitely be injured by doing this. So it's like, Spock, this was illogical to do, unless the environment is different than what I'm guessing it is, because we've not been told anything about the environment. Really should be telling us that, Roddenberry. That's kind of it. I mean, I flipped. I mean, that's the last thing. The thing that I read to you is literally the last for the chapter. This next chapter doesn't necessarily look like it's going to be very long. Just glancing at the first thing, it's like V'ger's point of view. It was just saying that V'ger is barely even aware of this insignificant interaction. On the one hand, I can understand that. On the other hand, though, and I'll still say it here, even though it would technically be for the next video. V'ger's never been touched like that before, I would think, and so it wouldn't be insignificant. I was like, if a mosquito lands on you, it's, even though it's insignificant, if it's the first time this ever happened, you're probably gonna be like, what was that? And by the way, I did need to say lands on you because I'm trying to remember. I think it's the mosquito. It might be a different bug that female mosquito. That's the only one that draws human blood. Well, any blood, but it the way it does that, the sting for it is actually so small you can't feel it. It's like the feet on there, or it's even like an allergen on the mosquito getting on your skin, causing an itch, and that's what you're actually feeling. The mosquito itself doesn't bite you with any pain. But no, legitimately, the taking of the blood, that's supposed to be so fine a needle that it's impossible to feel. Because I remember seeing years ago, people were trying to figure out, can we replicate that to make syringes that would be at that scale so that because a lot of people that really hate needles, but they need to get shots for whatever reason. It's like, well, this could be a way to solve that. I think it was even being talked about specifically for diabetics, because that'd really suck if you're diabetic and you have a fear of needles, because like some that you're gonna have to use. So anyway, although the technology's gotten really, really neat around that, but all right. Yeah, this is a short. I mean, there's not that much to talk about because this chapter is a lot of description that is not specifically significant to the story. It is necessary to be there, but you could also have a completely different description. It's not like it would change anything. It's just describing what Spock is seeing. So, and it's, you know, the main points I mentioned, and that's. Oh wait, hang on. No, I mentioned about Epsilon 9, that's missing, but maybe it's when the Enterprise comes in. Also didn't see Alea, which that could just be for the movie, the benefit there. But yeah, we'll see. And we'll also see if in this next chapter, Kirk's reaction to finding out Spock is gone, how they didn't realize. I'm sorry, I can understand the whole, because he even has in there with Spock that he's like, yeah, I'm not going to really let them know that I've done this until it's too late for them to send a recall command to me. Okay, I kind of understand it, but it still is. The Enterprise has sensors. Why is it not like, oh, what's that thing that's floating? Why is there a spacesuit flying away? It's like, you really think that somehow that would have been noticed, but anyway. See you next time.